Well, welcome in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's Gila River Arena, which means Seth Askelson is with me. Seth, it's a big day for the Coyotes. I want to be out here today for this press conference for a number of reasons, but first and foremost, I've been here for 30 years, right? This is one of the biggest days I can remember in Coyotes history because you're acquiring a number one overall draft pick in Taylor Hall. Give me your thoughts just on the acquisition itself first.
Yeah, it's huge, right? They say this is the third Hart Trophy winner to ever be a part of the Coyotes, right? And it's true. Heard this fact on Bickley and Murata on 98.7, but they also brought up another good point. It was a 41-year-old Brett Hull
Right.
and a Chris Pronger contract that was brought on to get to the cap minimum, the
Right.
cap floor. So two guys that one guy played 6 games, another guy that didn't play any. So this is a guy who's 2 years removed from his MVP season, 28 years old, maybe in the prime of his career, coming to the Coyotes. And John Chayka in that press conference mentioned a paradigm shift. This is a paradigm shift. Like we said, 4 or 5 years ago, they were acquiring contracts to get to the cap floor, the cap minimum. Now they got to do some cap gymnastics to stay underneath it. But it just shows how much in a 5-year stretch, I mean, really even in a 3-year stretch with bringing in John Chayka and with bringing in Rick Tocchet, just how much the culture has changed here. And you and I were talking about it on the way up on the elevator. It's just been a shift from top to bottom. New owner, Alex Murillo, with almost expendable funds, right? New CEO, Aaron Cohen, done a fantastic job. The front office with John Chayka, awesome. On the ice, Rick Tocchet's got this team playing like a championship caliber team. So this Taylor Hall trade is just another piece in the culture shift and how things have changed in the last 5 years.
I couldn't agree with you more on everything you just said. A couple of things that came to mind when I saw the fact that the Coyotes were players in this, and this has been circulating behind the scenes for a month or more, that the Coyotes were players, and a lot of people were saying, yeah, it's the Coyotes, no, they're not, no, they're not. I got wind about a week ago that this was a real deal, this was going to happen. I also got wind of a couple of things from outside sources that said, Coyotes will never get this done if they don't give up 2 big pieces. They were talking about a goaltender, a Ranta possibly. They were talking about a Soderberg. They were talking about other big names that would have to come off of this. Extremely important to John Chayka to get this deal done, but not relinquish any pieces. He's talked about it a couple different times. He talked about it again today in the press conference, but how important was that to keep this group intact and add a piece?
It's huge. Like I had asked Rick Tocchet in the press conference, right? How important is it to only have to integrate one piece, a guy that not only is excited to be here, but that everybody's excited to get, instead of, you trade 2-3 pieces away in the current roster, all of a sudden you have 4 new players you have to integrate. It's huge. You don't have to, it's not like the day one of the season again where you're trying to get these new pieces to fit together. You add one guy without subtracting anybody, and this team is ready to go. And he's already proven his worth, right? I mean, on a goal where the puck, it looked like a harmless play. Chip into the corner, right? The Coyotes were under duress. They get the puck out, chip it up the wall. All of a sudden, Taylor Hall flashes past Brendan Dillon, wins the battle, throws it out in front. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's had a really tough season this year. Is that the goal that's going to get him going? Is it, right? Is Taylor Hall's hustle play to the puck, right? Rick Tocchet always talks about having those sticky guys. Is that sticky play, as he described it in the press conference, going to be the thing to get Phil Kessel going? Is it going to be the thing to get Oliver Ekman-Larsson going? And this is a team that's in first place without arguably their 2 best defensemen, like defenders. Right? Like, it's insane. And Ilya Lyubushkin had a fantastic game last night. He's so valuable, especially playing with a guy like Oliver Ekman-Larsson. It allows Oliver Ekman-Larsson to jump up into the play with how solid Lyubushkin is defensively. So just by adding a guy like Taylor Hall, you see the confidence, you see the excitement it brings to this team, and I'm excited to see what this team does in the coming weeks.
You know, I've got so many things to say, but we'll still one at a time here. The first one I'm going to say is, how great is it to see a number 1 overall draft pick in 2010 come into a locker room and saying, like, hey, I just want to fit in. I just want to find my place in the locker room. There is no ego at all in this kid as far as joining his teammates. I'm sure he has an ego and that he knows he's a pretty darn good hockey player, but how nice is that to go, like, I just want to fit in. I just want to be a part of this team.
It's big, and a lot of people I've seen say, no, this kid's too egotistical. No way he's going to fit on this team. He's too injury prone. It's a guy who's played nearly 3 full seasons before his injury last year, and he was held out of a couple games this year due to being traded, right? So this is a guy that, at least on the outside, he knows how good of a hockey player he is. You could tell in the press conference. But when he talks about how good he is, he talks about how it's going to benefit the team. It's not, oh, I go out there and score goals. No, it's, I know where I'm at as a player, and I know how I can contribute to a team. Even though he knows how good he is, he's confident, he still relays it back into how he's going to help the team. And that's huge, right? Like, this is a team that I wouldn't say has no names, but it's a team that's pretty, it doesn't matter who scores as long as they win, right? They don't need a guy to score 90 points. There's not a guy that's like, oh, I need to score 100 or I'm going to be unhappy. I mean, Carl Soderberg scored a goal last night. Like, Connor Garland's leading the team in goals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't matter to a lot of these guys. And for Taylor Hall to come in and say, look, I know what I can bring to a team, and I want to do that to a championship caliber team, that's perfect.
I heard a lot of scuttlebutt on the social media scenes about, Taylor Hall's not going to make that much of a difference. How can one person bring that much? And I said, it's not just what Taylor Hall brings, it's what Taylor Hall brings to the rest of the team. What you and I just talked about, right? Is this going to energize Phil Kessel? I say yes. Oliver Ekman-Larsson? I say yes. Now, as I asked John Chaika when we had a chance to visit with him, I said, a lot of teams acquire depth, right? They're looking for a third line center or winger or somebody. He did just the opposite. He acquired the best player that was available, one of the best players in the league, and now his depth down low got a lot better, right? When you can put Clayton Keller against the second line of somebody else's team instead of the first line, and more importantly, when you got a first line now of Phil Kessel and you got Taylor Hall, right? And you got Dvorak. So you got guys that can go out there and compete and literally want to compete with the other team's best line. Now your second and third liners can take advantage of what they have.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about it, right? Connor Garland, the team's leading scorer, is on the fourth line now. And that's not a knock to anybody on that team. A fourth line of Richardson, Grabner, and Connor Garland, that might be the best fourth line in the NHL, right? Like, and that second line, you and I talked about that, is that second line of with Soderberg, with Keller, and with Schmaltz. Is that the best second line in the NHL? I mean, at the start of this season, even with the addition of Phil Kessel, if I would have said, Keller, Soderberg, Schmaltz is going to be the first line, it would have been pretty believable, right? Like, that sounds about right. That's your second line. And like you said, it's all about matchups in the NHL now. The way the line changes are, home team gets the last change. When they play the Wild tomorrow, I mean, even when they throw their third line out there with Derek Stepan and Vinny Nostroza, like, well, what are you going to do, right? Like, it's so deep. And this is a team, again, just the paradigm shift from 5 years ago, where it was, is this team ever going to get a center? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that was like, is this team ever going to get a number one center? Now they have like 4 of them on their roster. Schmaltz has got to play wing. Right. Derek Stepan's down on the third line. But it just shows how much of a difference things have changed around here, and what John Chaika has done and what Rick Tocchet's done. It's commitment to winning. That move shows that they're committed to winning. They're committed to making the playoffs, to breaking that 7-year streak. They're all in, right? Like, what else can you say when you trade, like you said, for the best player probably available in a trade, and you go out and get him? Yeah, you're all in. You're all in this year.
All right, we're all in right here at Gila River Arena. Let's wrap it up with, we've given a lot of accolades to the players and the general manager and the coach and all those guys, but 2 guys that really stepped up and changed this franchise over the last, not even a year, literally about a 6-month period, are Aaron Cohen changed the philosophy within the organization, right? You and I see it. We talk about it all the time. This is a different Arizona Coyotes team, and it starts with Aaron Cohen. You can't give him enough credit because he took all the negative and he said, let's not talk about what we can't do. Let's talk about what we can do. Let's build. Let's bring winners. Let's do different things. Let's create an environment. He's doing it. And Alex Murillo coming on board. Have you seen much of Alex Murillo since the time that you met him in the press conference? Because I haven't. I understand he was out of town right now, and that's how Andrew Barroway stepped up and got Taylor Hall from New Jersey out to San Jose yesterday morning. But so Alex Murillo is doing everything, but he's doing it behind the scenes, right? He's not a camera-hungry guy that he has to be out, wanting to visit with us, for example.
Yeah, and I think that's where Aaron Cohen comes in, right? He is the perfect mouthpiece for this organization. He's confident, he's young, he's brash, and he's smart. And when you look at, I think just the NHL in general, right? A lot of talk is, how do you get the younger kids involved? And I think that's sports in general. Yeah. You put a guy out there that's, top 30, under 30, like a guy that is successful in the Valley.
Yeah.
Graduate of Arizona State University, right? They didn't bring out some East Coast hot shot with 20 years of experience. No, they gave this kid, not really a kid anymore, but right, a guy who has made his way in the Valley, smart guy, ASU grad, right? That ASU connection is here. Like, that was, I think, some of the things that were missing from this organization is there wasn't that connection with the community, right? Like, when you look at the Suns and the Diamondbacks, Jerry Colangelo, huge kind of Phoenix connection, right? Everybody, even though he works for USA Basketball, everyone knows him from Phoenix. Aaron Cohen, ASU guy, the first thing people can say is, oh, yeah, I went to ASU. Of course I'm going to root for this guy. Of course I'm going to root for this team. So Alex Murillo doesn't need to be in front of the camera. I feel like a little bit before Cohen came here, Andy Barroway kind of had to be that guy because they didn't have anybody. Right. They didn't have that guy. Somebody. They needed somebody, and Andy Barroway was good at it, right? Like, he was really good at it, and give him all the credit. And I think a lot of credit needs to come to Andrew Barroway as well, right? Like, he bought this team when it was...
He was the big Band-Aid.
Yeah, and it wasn't popular to buy this team, and he was committed to this market. You know, even though he didn't have maybe the big bucks that Murillo had necessarily to go out and make these moves, he was still the guy that, you know, he could have easily just been like, yeah, after 2 years, I'm out of here. You know, we're moving. No, he was committed to this market. Murillo is coming, like you said. He was the big Band-Aid. Now Murillo is the stitches. He's the stitches that's putting everything back together. And this is an arena that, come April, it's going to be a lot of white. It's going to look like a snowstorm in here when the whiteout finally makes its return in 2020.
Final thing I've got to say on the whole Aaron Cohen deal is when I had a chance to visit with Aaron in September before the season had even started, and we sat down and visited, one of the things I really thought lent Aaron to this situation was he told me flat out, he goes, I'm not a hockey player. I didn't grow up playing hockey. I played football. That was my sport. But if you can take that person and bring him in and make him a hockey guy, what can you do with the rest of the Valley? What can he do with the Valley? Because, you know, that's our number one problem here is we have people that like hockey or have transplanted somewhere, but they need to come in. He needs to bring new blood. He needs to make hockey fans. They did it in Vegas on a very short notice, but Vegas is the only professional team. What else were they going to do? They had the 1 October event, which bonded them even closer. They made a Stanley Cup run in their first year. Now's the Coyotes' chance to step up and take it. And every time I look at the standings, as I told John Chaika, December 18th, 2019, you're number one in the Pacific Division. How cool is that to say as Arizona people?
Oh, it's huge. We haven't been able to say that since 2012, right? But it's like he said, it's going to sound, like Chaika said, it's going to sound a lot cooler at the end of the season. But this is a team in the Pacific, I mean, you and I talked about it, right? Like, that is from top to bottom most equipped to stay in that top spot. Vegas, their bottom six, or their bottom pair defensemen, a little bit of a question mark, right? Even their fourth line isn't as strong as what you could say the Coyotes is. Edmonton, I think we're really starting to see that they're a two-man team. Yep. But I still think they have a good shot of getting into the postseason, but their goaltending's starting to falter a little bit. Right. Calgary was hot. They've been hot and cold all year long. Even before the Bill Peters thing, they didn't start out good. Then they went on a little bit of a winning streak. Then we're downhill. Then won 7 in a row. So sometimes the Flames you don't know what you're going to get from them. So the Coyotes from top to bottom, and again, health is everything. It was the same thing as last season. But like I said, this team is in first place without arguably their two best defensemen. Yeah. And like, it's insane to say that. And so when they get back, it's almost sky's the limit for this team. And we're talking about first in the Pacific, only 4 points out from the St. Louis Blues for first in the Western Conference. And second in the league, the Bruins have kind of turned downhill a little bit on their heads. They're at 49 points now with their overtime loss to the Kings. But that's a team that the Coyotes, all of a sudden, they're 2 wins away from being the second best team in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, it's fun to say. We're here live at Gila River Arena today for the big press conference to formally introduce Taylor Hall. It feels kind of weird because we heard about it a couple of days ago. We saw him play last night. But actually, just having a chance to be in the same room with him, see him, see his mannerisms, see some of the things that he's going to do, really exciting. If you're an Arizona Coyotes fan, if you're just a hockey fan, if you just live in the desert Southwest and you want to go somewhere cool, come on out here to Gila River Arena. Enjoy Coyotes hockey right now because I'm telling you the tickets are going to get harder to get as the days go by.
You're right, and we talked about this is the Coyotes' time to kind of capture the Valley. It is. This city loves winners.
Yes.
You talk about the Cardinals when they were making the playoffs, tickets were $120.
Yeah.
minimum, right? When the Suns were at their run, impossible to get tickets. When the D-backs are making playoff runs, hard to get tickets. This team is desperate for winners, and if the Coyotes are that winning team, people are going to show up. Look, I know it's, the arena's too far, and this, that, and the other thing. You're telling me you're not going to sit in an hour of traffic to come to a playoff game? Okay, fine. If that argument's for regular season, fine, I guess, right? Like, I still don't think that's a great argument, but I understand it. I'd sit in 2 hours of traffic to go to a playoff hockey game, nonetheless, Arizona Coyotes playoff hockey game. So this team's desperate for winners, and people will sit in the traffic to see a winner.
All right, you heard it, folks. Get on out here. Tomorrow night's your next chance as Minnesota Wild are already here across the parking lot from us in the hotel getting some rest. And the Coyotes got back in late last night after the trip from San Jose. Everybody's ready to go. We're just waiting for you to fill this building.
Joining us here today at Gila River Arena for this very special day in Coyotes history. We'll start things off by introducing our head table. To my left is Coyotes President of Hockey Operations and General Manager John Chenka. Next to John, of course, is new Coyotes forward Taylor Hall. And last but not least, Coyotes head coach Rick Tocchet. We'll begin by turning it over to John for a few remarks. John?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming. It's my pleasure to introduce to you one of the top players in the National Hockey League, former Hart Trophy winner Taylor Hall. I'd also like to welcome his girlfriend, Rachel, as well as his family to our pack. I want to take this time to thank our owner, Alex Morello, for giving us the opportunity to make this acquisition. Without his support and will to win, we wouldn't be here today. So really appreciate that. He's a big part of what we're doing here. Certainly between Phil Kessel and Taylor, it's been a paradigm shift in terms of how we're operating and the things we're doing here. So it's been a joy to work with them, and just wanted to say thank you. When Talk and I first came here, everything we've done from day one has been about winning. There's been some popular decisions we've made, some unpopular ones, but at the end of the day, that's all it's been about. Getting a chance to do some due diligence and talk to some people that know Taylor well, we know that's all he cares about. That's his main focus, his sole focus. And so in that sense, from ownership up top to management, coaching staff, all the way down to the players and Taylor, there's a complete alignment, and that's what we're about. So, with that being said, I wanted to welcome Taylor to the back. Right here, Joe. Turn around.
I know we've been talking to you a lot the last couple of days. It's been a crazy whirlwind for you, but to get a chance to practice with your new teammates here at Gila River Arena, and can you just kind of take us through the whirlwind of the last couple of days, and I guess where you are as things stand right now?
Yeah, it's been a change. There's no doubt, but I think it's a positive one, and one that has been made very seamless by the players in the room, the organization. Everyone that works for the team has made it just about playing hockey, and really that's what I'm here to do. Here to contribute to a winning team, play as well as I can on both sides of the puck, and but it has been crazy. I won't lie to you. It's been a change, and hopefully as the days go on, I feel more comfortable and just worried about playing hockey right now.
Matt Lehman from Arizona Sports. Rick, my question's for you. I guess just with what your group has done this year, spent some time in first place in the Pacific Division, having a pretty good season so far. What does it mean to you and to your players, do you think, that the front office and ownership has invested more into what your group is doing?
Well, I mean, it's huge for me. Well, for everybody, I just know when John told me we acquired Taylor, the juice, but not so much from the coaching staff, like it just trickled down to trainers. The excitement that you acquire a guy like him, is something that I think the fan base, is so excited about. I know John, made a point. They deserve, they deserve it. Alex Morello comes in here, stabilizes everything. It just adds juice to everybody, and now we have to play hockey. Like Taylor said, he's here to play hockey, and that's it. That's why we're excited about it. Plus, he's a hockey nerd. I love hockey nerds. we love hockey nerds, man.
Taylor, welcome to Arizona, first and foremost. You're joining a first place team, really in the thick of it. What's the added excitement to that aspect of really joining a group of guys who have already been doing well this year, and you're that piece to take them to the next step?
Yeah, it's everything I could have wanted with a mid-season trade, to be honest. Not every day can you jump that many spots in the standings. It's unfortunate the season that we were having in Jersey, but to join a group like this that is playing well, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, but hopefully there's another level that we can get to and hold the spot that we have in the standings. Guys do these press conferences, like I said before, and they say that we're excited, a lot, but that's really what it is. There's a great opportunity in front of us, and for me, I'll find my place in the lineup, I'll find my place in the room, but in the short term, it's just about winning games and keeping our spot there.
So I'm driving down the freeway this morning on the way to the rink, and there's a big billboard that has you in that jersey on it. It says, "Welcome to our pack." Did you see that, A, or anything like that?
No, I was pretty groggy this morning. No, that's awesome, and that's one of the great things about what's going on here is there seems to be a buzz building and some excitement, and we talk a lot about the on ice and the structure and all that, but at the end of the day, we're entertainment for people, and hopefully guys like myself and a lot of these other young players and really the team that we have here, hopefully we can keep building that and get some excitement really into the area here.
My follow-up to that is, I know you're a hockey player and that's what you care about most, but you were a #1 pick in Edmonton in a crazy market. Obviously, when you traded to New Jersey, that's a big deal. How did those experiences help you now? Because you're more than a hockey player here, as you can tell.
Yeah, I think I've had a good blend of really of different markets. Being in Edmonton was crazy right off the bat, and I think that kind of taught me how to act away from the rink, how to conduct yourself. And in Jersey, I grew a lot as a player, as a leader. Had some really good coaches and front office staff that guided me in the right direction. And here, I don't want to say I'm a finished product, but I like to think I know what I can add to a team, how I need to play, and how I can be a leader. And as the season goes on, that'll continue to grow.
Hey John, can you speak to the patience it took to get to this point and what it was like to actually make the move to pull the trigger on it?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's been a building process for us here. Obviously, it's taken us a couple of years to get to this stage, and there's no shortcuts. I think the moves we made, say 2 years ago, kind of set us up to be in a position where we could acquire a player like this. I think the group that we've drafted and developed is a really strong part of what we've been able to accomplish here. They understand what it takes to win now through working with Talk and our staff, development staff, all the way up through the American League, a lot of these guys. So that's a big part of what we're trying to do. But we've been able to make some trades, the Nicholas Yarmulsons, Derek Stephans, a few signings as well, and really tried to build this team up to where it is today. And we had to use some of our draft capital and things like that to get a player of this caliber, but really felt like it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to acquire a player like Taylor said, in his prime, ready to come in and contribute, and hopefully take this entire organization to another level. And like he said, I think he's right. I think there's there's more to give with this group too, and that's the exciting part. Now we get to add a player at this caliber and hopefully get Nick Jarmelson back. We think it's a big season for us and expect to have success, and I think there's a bright future ahead as well still.
Taylor, you talked about how it's been kind of a whirlwind, getting into town and playing right away. Just tell us about, having an effect right away in your first game and, coming up with that big assist that ended up being the game winner.
Yeah, it wasn't, it certainly wasn't a Picasso by any means, but, I did my best to get myself ready to play under the circumstances. The organization did a fantastic job getting me to San Jose, and I was able to skate in the morning and get a rest in the afternoon. And I wanted to play I'd been sitting out for a week, and I'm a hockey player, I'm healthy, so I want to play. And really just tried to make an impact however I could. Ended up being basically the last shift of my game. And like I said, they're not all going to be masterpieces, but if you can find a way to make an impact, no matter when it is during the game, you got to do that. And overall, it's just nice to see a win, to get that feeling in the room. We're in first place, and that's a team that's hunting for us, and those are big games no matter what time of the year it is.
Seth Askelson, Ice Time Hockey Southwest. You've been in the league long enough to kind of see what's been going on in Arizona, and I know you've only been on the team for 3 days, but what is the difference, and what are some of the changes you've noticed with this organization from when you first entered the league?
I think there's a lot. It used to be more of a veteran team, a team that I wouldn't say was defensive minded, but certainly had a way of playing that was different than other teams. I know from paying attention just the last couple of years since Rick and John have come here, it's been an offensive group. It's been a group that wants to play fast and inject a lot of youth into the lineup as much as they can. And that's really what the NHL is about today. If you want to point to a franchise that's had a really good trajectory over the last couple of years, it's Arizona, and that's a really good thing for a player of my age, and it's great to come into.
Taylor, John has said that he wants to sell you on Arizona by getting you here and indoctrinating you into what is becoming a winning culture here. You're obviously a pending UFA at the end of the year. So my question for you would be, how open-minded are you at this point? And I guess, does that take any pressure off you, and just knowing that you can just come in and play hockey and just let things happen and let things take their course in that regard?
Yeah, I think that's really the way it is. We're about winning here, and I think if we win, if we do well as a team, that kind of stuff is going to sort itself out. And to answer your question, yeah, I'm definitely open-minded about everything. And it's not really my focus right now. I think John and I spoke briefly about it. It's more about just playing hockey, winning games, and seeing where that takes us. And when it's time to have a conversation, we'll do that.
My follow-up would be, were you surprised that John and the Coyotes took that approach, or were you surprised maybe that they didn't want to talk extension right away? And what was your reaction to that? Did you like that they took that approach?
Yeah, I've never been through this, so I was ready to play for Jersey until they told me not to. I'm here to play hockey and win games and contribute. Like I said, find my place in the dressing room, and when it's time to chat about that stuff, we will. But I've been open-minded since the start of this season when I was playing for the Devils, and that hasn't changed since I got here.
Coach Tockett, you get to work with these players provided directly, and you've mentioned that your coaching style doesn't change regardless of the roster. What qualities, aspects of Taylor's game fit so well into your style and can enhance that coaching style?
Well, an elite rush player, like, it's something that we've done well this year. Getting Halsey here, it just adds another level of a rush team, something we worked on. The thing that intrigues me that he'll help us is in the O-zone, which we have to get better at. He reminds me, I'm not going to compare players, but when I was in Pittsburgh, the give and go around the net type of sticky type of guy, like on that goal, was a sticky type of play. Knocking a couple of guys off, winning the battle, and giving the puck to OEL. Those are the goals that win you big games. Those get you in the playoffs. Those goals are in the playoff goals. So You know, I love those type of guys. I think that's the reason, for me, I'm excited about is that part. The other part, he's obviously elite, but those things around the net, you know, being able to knock people off the puck and keeping the puck, that's a skill that not a lot of guys have in the league. And that's the one thing that excites our coaching staff here and John.
And a follow-up for you, John. As time has progressed here with all these names and the attention, do you feel like Arizona, not to get cliche on you, is becoming a hot spot, not just for the sport, but for where hockey players want to play, live, and the continued progression of that?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's certainly our intent. You know, we want to build it. We realize we got to earn that, but certainly feel like we're on the right track. And like you mentioned, not only for the NHL players, but growing the sport of hockey in the state. And I think that's a huge responsibility of ours in a non-traditional market. And I think we take a lot of pride in that. And bringing over players like Taylor and Phil and these guys that have a great resume and are great players and they're fun to watch. I think that's a big part of it. But ultimately, like I said, we're in the winning business, and our results will speak for themselves. And we're just trying to do the best job we can with what we got here, and go about building our team in the best possible way, and think that if we can do that and control what we can control, we've got some good people in place, and the sky's the limit.
John, Derek Stepan expressed that he was pleased that there were any subtractions from the existing roster. That
Yeah.
when the news came down that Taylor would come here, that people kind of held their breath to see who might be going the other way. How big was that for you when you were negotiating this trade, that you didn't want to take pieces off the active roster?
Yeah, that was a prerequisite for the move. I think it's a tight group. Steph would tell you that. Taylor will experience it. We're proud of those guys. Again, they've grown up together. We've gone through some adversity together now, and built up some scar tissue. And I think they earned the right to add to the group and supplement the group. And that was certainly something we were looking to do when we acquired a player like Taylor, was to add. And again, we felt like it was a rare opportunity that a player of this caliber becomes available. But even rarer that he fits a very specific need that our team has. We think we got 2 elite goalies. We've been one of the better defensive teams for a couple of years now. We got some great young forwards that are still learning their way and still growing and evolving. But to get a star in his prime that comes in with the confidence that Taylor does and accomplish what he has, but also as motivated as I know he is. The stars kind of aligned in that sense, and to keep the group together, it was almost too good to be true. And we were very fortunate and opportunistic, and like I said, with support from ownership, these things come together, and so far it's been great.
And Taylor, kind of on that note, I know it's really early, but what's your early read on kind of the room and what it's like in there, the dynamic between those guys, and what was sort of the early welcome for you when you first arrived?
I think one of the first things I noticed is the group's not laid back, but everyone enjoys each other's company, and there's definitely a sense of guys know their role, guys are comfortable in their own skin and in the room and on the ice, and that's a really good situation to come into as a player like myself. I'm trying to fit in with them and do the best I can on the ice as soon as I can here, but to come into a dressing room where there's a really good blend of older guys that have played in cup finals, in the Stanley Cup playoffs a lot, and then some younger guys that are really hungry. It's a very good situation.
Rich?
Yeah, Taylor, you talked about the locker room. Yeah, how important is it to join a locker room that has a good mix of younger players and experienced players, especially when someone like yourself that's looking to get more experience when it comes to postseason, and a core group that is hungry to win and also has a chance to win this year and win now?
Yeah, I think as the league evolves, it seems like the teams that have sustained success are the teams with a really good blend of veteran guys and younger guys that are hungry to win. And like I said, that's really what I'm coming into now. Couldn't be a better situation. Ton of really good skill players to play with up front, and some guys on the back end that can defend and move the puck well, and obviously 2 goalies that have played well not only this year but for a pretty extended period of time. the room dynamic is huge. You know, it's not something that's really going to show up in any statistics, but having a good culture, having a group that likes playing for each other is huge, and you know, I want to fit into that seamlessly.
Coach Tockett, for you, what is it like to integrate one guy who's excited to be here and the players are excited for him to get in, rather than having to integrate 2 or 3 new pieces?
Yeah, well, listen, for me, like, I haven't talked a ton with Taylor about this, but, you know, I don't want him to have to adjust to everybody. He's just got to be himself. You know, that's the easiest thing, and we'll adjust as it goes on. I've been traded a bunch myself, too many times. But the best advice I give to players, you know, Taylor's been around the block, and he's a young kid that's played a lot of years on the, you know, just be yourself. You know, you don't have to adjust. You know, just play. He's a shooter, shoot it. Like we'll adjust from there. If you're a rush guy, take the puck and go. Like I'm just a big believer that, and players they just morph themselves around that. You know, that's why I like this group. You know, they're gonna. I told those guys the other day, just be yourself. You know, you don't. All of a sudden, we're not just gonna start changing our system. You know, we're gonna go more offensive, more defensive. We're just gonna play. And when you acquire a guy like Taylor, he does his thing, and we'll adjust to him.
Jody?
Jody Jackson, Fox Sports Arizona. Question for Taylor, but Rick, if you could kind of follow up. So the power play, it's been hot at times this year, inconsistent at other times. Taylor, how do you think you can affect the power play, and also, you know, Rick, same question for you.
Yeah, I think I've gotten better at playing on the power play over the course of my career. Early on, I used to struggle with it, and in the last few years, slowing the game down and playing on the power play has become more comfortable for me. I feel like I can help with controlled entries and really sustaining offense in their end by winning battles for pucks. I mean, you watch a power play and you see maybe the backdoor goal or a one-timer goal, but usually it's the play beforehand where you're winning a battle, you're gaining possession back from the other team and then making plays after that. And I feel like I can be gritty and win battles, but also make plays with the puck at the same time. And as time goes on, we have a lot of weapons to make our power play dangerous.
Yeah, well, for me, so if you go to last year, when we played these guys, Taylor scored the game winner in the power play. And then when we played him at the beginning of this year, he hit Hughes for a seam play on a shot. And then he delivered a couple near the end. We were hanging on to the game there. And he hit Simmons on a couple of plays that Simmons almost scored. So those are the elements of a power play that he can add. You know, like you just talked about. Like I'm big on retrievals. We have to get better as a unit on retrievals. He can do that. His shot's elite. He's got a great one-timer, and he'll deliver pucks to that, and he can gain entries. You know, if you can check all the boxes of a player, usually some guys are 3 out of 5. Like he's got 5 out of 5 when it comes to power play guy. So and we saw that against Jersey when we played us. So you know that's something that he'll add with us, and the same thing. You know, he's going to do his thing, and we'll adjust to him on the power play, and vice versa. You know, we got Phil Kessel who can pass the puck, but you know Phil's going to have to shoot the puck too, and Taylor can go to the net. Like it's not one or the other. It's just you just do check all those 5 boxes, and that's what a good power play does.
I'm sorry if this. Oh, sorry. Well, that's even more embarrassing for me. Sorry, this is an embarrassing question, but it's kind of funny watching as Taylor speaks generally about wanting to win or specifics of like X's and O's. Like you're like nodding along. Like,
Yeah.
like what does a guy like that do for your team, your room, etc.?
Well, it's his attitude for me. Talking to a few people. I actually talked to who I respect immensely, John Hines. He couldn't say enough about him. You know, John Hines. I think he's a great coach, and he's willing to. Obviously, he's in great shape. He wants to win. He's a hockey nerd. You know, and we joke about it, but he wants to know. So that I learned a lot from my days in Pittsburgh from having those type of players. That they test you. You got to know your stuff. I feel Taylor's that type of guy from talking to Heinze. You know, he wants to know some stuff. He wants to be coached. He wants to win. You know, all that other stuff will sort itself out. You know, he wants to play big games, and that's what big game players want to do. So, that adds juice to me, but also keeps me on my toes. I mean, I gotta be ready to go. Anytime with our team we have or the guys that acquire it, you gotta be ready to go. And that's our coaching staff is prepared for this sort of stuff, which is good.
Taylor, do you think you're ever going to get used to wearing shorts to the rink?
No, I mean that's a pretty nice touch. Walking out of the hotel this morning and seeing, just the climate outside was pretty nice. It adds a pep to your step, and after playing in Edmonton and Jersey, it's a nice change. But I'll play hockey anywhere. But I think as the season goes on, sometimes it can seem like Groundhog Day, but when you're walking outside and you're able to get away from the rink and enjoy yourself and all that Arizona has to offer, I'm looking forward to that.
I guess just as a follow-up, I know Michael Grabner is somebody you've stayed in touch with since you guys played together a little bit in Jersey. Has he shared with you anything about what it's like to live in Arizona, what it's like to play in Arizona, kind of giving you a little bit, maybe what to expect?
Yeah, I've talked to a few guys, players that have played here in the past, players that have played here, currently, people that know Rick, people that have been around John for a long time, and I really couldn't get a negative word, honestly, from the way that they treat the players to the on-ice product and how they want you to play, the plane, the climate, the rink, the facilities, everything's been really good. And it's lived up to its reputation. And over the last day and a half, I've witnessed how easy they've made it on me, and already I'm feeling, a lot more comfortable than I thought I would be at this point.
Taylor, for maybe reasons unknown, jersey number selection is like a huge craze among fans. 91, guessing the birth year, correct?
Yeah, just my birth year. Probably would have gone with 9 or 4, but they're both taken, and I didn't want to be that guy to try and take a number. It's not that important to me. Just wanted to pick something quickly and move on and try and get ready to play.
Among fan favorites is the jersey you're wearing. Initial thoughts? You style guy? You like it?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Calgary, I had a buddy that we played outdoor hockey all the time together, and this was his jersey that he wore. So that was early 2000s, and it stayed pretty relevant, and I think it looks pretty sharp.
Any more questions for Taylor or the group? All right, we'll do a quick one-on-one with Taylor and Fox Sports Arizona, and we'll do some one-on-ones outside. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, welcome in hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. Coyotes GM John Chaika is with me. John, this is a big day for not only you but the organization on and off the ice. But tell me a little bit about Taylor Hall, first of all. How important was it to acquire him, but more importantly, maybe keep him out of other people's hands?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we're focused on our team, and hopefully it's a monumental day for our organization. So, anytime a player like this becomes available, I think, I have a duty to pursue that and try to make our team better. And these are rare players, rare, unique opportunities. He's a unique player. He's a game breaker. I mean, he's one of the more entertaining players in the league to watch. Just the combination of speed and skill, and he can go around you, he can go through you. We think that when games get tight, that's when he gets better. And he hasn't had a chance to play a lot of playoff hockey. Hopefully, he's doing that this year for us and can be that difference maker. But he's he's one of the top players in the league for a reason. He's done it for a number of years now. He's in the prime of his career. Physical specimen. Can't say enough good things about him.
A lot of times when you build on a roster, you build for depth, right? And a lot of people look at depth on maybe the third or fourth line. You did a little differently, though. You put a first-line guy in, which moved a few guys down. Yeah. You look at a guy last night like Connor Garland playing on the fourth line, your leading goal scorer. What does that mean for the total depth, and how important is that to winning?
Yeah, look, depth is a huge asset, especially if you're trying to make a run. And yeah, we got some good players that are sitting out now, and at some point, you know, they'll get in, or we'll rotate, or there'll be injuries that'll occur. So, yeah, you can't have enough depth, and you know, we think adding, like you said, a top player kind of shuffles things in a good way, and we don't really look at it as, you know, 4 lines. We look at it as, you know, they've got different roles and responsibilities, and we're asking them to do some different things. But everyone's important on our roster. You know, forward wise, 1 through 12, they all got to be going well for us to score.
Obviously, Taylor's got a lot of offensive skills, and I know you use them a lot in different situations. We saw him on the power play last night, but how valuable is that to your power play, and how happy was Phil Housley to see him?
Yeah, all our coaches were happy. I mean, I was happy. So, yeah, big day, and yeah, our power play, you know, it's top 10, and it's done some good things. At times we've had some chances to win some games, and it hasn't come through, but it's also come through too. So, you know, again, anytime you're adding an elite skilled player like that can drive some play and help in a lot of different ways, it's like, you know, it creates depth, it creates internal competition. You know, I think he can help us there even more, and yeah, Phil's a happy man.
You know, and we'll wrap it up on this one, but last April I saw you guys in Vegas, right? And it was disappointing that you didn't get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I could see a look of determination from you all the way down to the last guy on the roster, if you will.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what you had to do to get better. And over the summer you did it, right? You acquired some guys, you made some moves. Now you're at the top of the Pacific Division. When I say December 18th, the Coyotes are number 1 in the Pacific Division. How important is that to keep that role right now all the way to the end?
Yeah, obviously it sounds a lot better at the end of the season, or, you know, hopefully through the end of playoffs. But you know, it's nice to add Taylor. He's a big piece, obviously. We think we've got a good group. They've played extremely hard. Like Talk said, you know, everyone's got to keep playing. You know, the team will adjust a bit. Taylor will adjust a bit. Hopefully he fits in seamlessly. That's our expectation. And you know, obviously we believe in this group, and we're not making this move just to, you know, get in or just to be around. You know, we want to be a team that thrives and has a lot of success, and we think Taylor can help us achieve our goals. So we have high hopes. You know, I think last year we learned a lot through that experience, and hopefully we use that to apply it next year, or this year, and you know, that helps us in the long run. So it's an exciting day.
John, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Well, welcome in, hockey fans in the desert Southwest. What a whirlwind this has been for the last 3 or 4 days. First they acquire Taylor Hall, then they introduce him. Then he gets his home debut, and it's 8-5, Seth Askelson. Tell me a little bit about what was going through your head watching this thing from start to finish.
Well, a team that coming in second best goals against per game, and they give up 8 goals, right? Like against a team that struggled mightily on the road. Yeah. 9 of the Minnesota Wild's wins coming in tonight were at home. They're 9-1-2 at home. Their road record almost the complete opposite. But again, like we talked about in the pregame, it was almost the Wild had the Coyotes number, right? And sometimes that happens in hockey. The biggest story, which wouldn't have guessed it at the start of this game, is Darcy Kemper's injury. Yeah. Taylor Hall had a point tonight. He looked really good. Nobody's talking about that right now. No. It's a little more of a somber feel around here. And I mean, again, that's why you got Antti Ranta in the first place, right? I mean, he was the one here first before Kemper, but to see a guy who's probably the leading Vezina candidate to go down, tried to take a stride on his right leg to the locker room, and he had to go down to one knee. He couldn't even stride on it. So in a point of the game where, look, I know it was still 2 goals, but man, you know, he makes probably his best save of the night, and we'll see what the diagnosis is.
Well, 3:08 to play in the game, by my count. He goes down, he lays there. He doesn't even hardly move for a period of time. The trainer comes out, gets him off the ice. You could see his frustration when he slammed his blocker down about 15 feet from the bench, and then immediately down to the locker room. So definitely not a good sign. Let's try to talk about some positives here for a minute, though. I will tell you, and I commented on social media, that it's just a treat to watch Christian Dvorak on the face-off circle. He won so many clean draws tonight that was just unbelievable. The power play, I thought, was very good. The puck control by the first two lines especially was very good. But defensively, they just let things happen that they shouldn't have. I mean, guys walking right through the defense. It was not a good night for Labushkin and Ness tonight. They both struggled. I don't know. I really don't know what happened. It just kind of went back and forth. I texted you between the second and third period. I said, this is the first time I thought that maybe the Coyotes have what it takes to come back. They did. They made it 4-4. It ended up being 8-5.
Yeah, and when you talked to Rick Tocchet on Wednesday, he said, we're not going to change anything, right? We're not going to change our system. We're not going to change the way we play. We're gonna integrate guys. We're going to kind of play around them, right? Like nothing's really going to change all that much, But when a guy like Taylor Hall comes in, he said, I'm just going to let him do his thing. But Coyotes look like a completely different team tonight.
Right.
It looks like they changed a lot, and they were trying stretch passes. They were trying, to go up the wall, and that's fine, right? But sometimes you got to have that winger support on the wall when you're trying to break out. And there's a couple goals that, because the wingers were too far up the ice, that the puck got turned over and it was in the back of their net. And for the Coyotes, again, yeah, this is a game that in the past, Coyotes get down 4-2, it's over, right? Like even last year, they just didn't have the firepower. They have the firepower now to play these games. But the thing is they also have the defensive capacity to play the way they did at the beginning of the year. So all they got to do is now find that right combination. I think that right combination is getting Nick Jarmelson and Jason Demers back for sure. That's going to be a part of the solution. But right now it's okay. Now you have the offensive talent. That doesn't mean you can start falling asleep on defense.
Absolutely. Like I said, you started this off with a somber moment here with Darcy Kemper. We just don't know how serious it is. It did not look good. I'll tell you that right off the get-go. We'll see what happens with the diagnosis as the days go on here, as one of those injuries where you get the MRI, you find out how severe it is or isn't, and you move on from there. But you know what? The Taylor Hall era has begun. And we'll just see where they go from here. They won't be back here at Gila River until the 29th. So they got some road games to maybe get together and bond a little bit and see what they can do. But frustrating to watch them score 5 but give up 8.
Yeah, it is. Because if you told me the Coyotes were going to score 5 goals tonight, I'd say you might as well just write the 2 points in the column right now. Give them that 3-point lead over Vegas. And last check, it's 3-1 Vancouver. So for the night at least, that's Coyotes are going to stay in first at the moment.
I can update you on that. It's 3-3 last I saw.
And that's the thing, right? Like you can't struggle like this on nights and
not on home ice.
And on home ice. And for the Coyotes, good news is, as you said in pregame, this is the last time they're going to play Minnesota this year. So I'm sure they'd be just fine if Minnesota disappeared from the National Hockey League for the rest of the year. Just the way they've struggled. And Minnesota's, I think, is a good team.
Right.
I think they've just had some struggle. You want to talk about a struggling goalie, Devin Dubnyk. I mean, didn't look sharp tonight. Got the win, right? But, I mean, even coming in, his numbers weren't all that pretty. I think defensively, outside of Ryan Suter, they're having a hard time kind of finding their top 6. I mean, it doesn't help that, Jonas Brodin isn't playing kind of up to the way they thought he would, and just kind of depleted defensively. But again, when you play a team like that, get a chance on home ice to kind of take advantage, and tough when you're the second best defensive team in the National Hockey League and you give up 8 goals, even though when you score 5. So again, it's about finding that right mix. You never, a National Hockey League team is a National Hockey League team, but the Coyotes get a chance to play the worst one on Sunday in Detroit. And maybe this is where Antti Raanta gets that groove back again. He's only played in 12 games, so it's not like he's got a ton of chances, but this might be the opportunity to get him going again. You lose Kemper, but there's a reason you kept both of them. So, again, you get a chance against the worst team in the league. You can't take the night off, but you almost want to see the Coyotes go out there and just throttle Detroit from start. Go out, maybe score 5 goals in 2 periods in Detroit, and just kind of put the foot on the neck. But again, the Coyotes have had trouble kind of doing that this year, but they go on the road, which seems to be a little more comfortable than home for them. But
for some reason,
an opportunity to get back into first place on Sunday.
All right, let's close it out by saying a couple of things. If you're an Arizona or an Arizona State fan, you saw a familiar face playing his second NHL game today. Nico Sturm from Clarkson was actually in the lineup and started the game for Minnesota Wild. So he had a big big tournament here last year at Christmas time for the Clarkson squad that won the tournament here against ASU and Minnesota State and Minnesota Duluth. So congratulations to Nico Sturm. He's a good kid. I had a chance to visit with him. And more importantly for the fans here in Arizona, 15,000 plus tonight on a Thursday night in Glendale.
Yeah, first for Nico Sturm, first career NHL point, and I've never played in the National Hockey League, obviously, but I'm sure it could have happened in the parking lot in the Renaissance. He wouldn't have cared. A point in the NHL is a point in the NHL, and he played exceptionally. He might have been their best center tonight. Eric Stahl played pretty well too, but he was very noticeable out there outside of the stat sheet. But yeah, 15,000 plus on a Thursday night, right? Like that's where you start to think, okay, maybe location isn't a good excuse, right? Yeah. Like, and the Coyotes will never play that card. They'll never play because they're a class organization and they understand that it's winning what brings people out, and it shows. It shows. You're a winner in this town. You could put this in Surprise. You could put this in Waddell. People are going to come and watch you. So, good turnout by the Coyote faithful tonight, and that's almost a disappointing thing, right? Is people are starting to turn out now, and it's been tough for the Coyotes on home ice. Now they fall below 500. They fall below 500 on home ice this year. So, like you said, they get the game in Detroit. They're going to get the holiday roster freeze. That's just a time to heal up, spend some time with the family, come back recharged.
All right, folks, that's it from Gila River Arena on the debut night of Taylor Hall. We'll be back in a couple of weeks when the team returns back here, and I know you're going to be out here Sunday night, the 29th, to watch that. So that's it for tonight from Gila River Arena. For Seth Askelson, Scott Strandy, we're off.